Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and I'm doing a special weekend astrology forecast for this weekend of November 28th through 29th of 2020, talking about Neptune that has come direct and, of course, eclipse preparation. We do have a lunar eclipse that is going to be happening 1:29 a.m. Monday morning, West Coast time, in Gemini. So we are all heading into, I would say, I've had a video out there called Climax 2020 over the last month about this climactic point that's hitting, and it's this eclipse, it's this Neptune direct. It's a lot of factors that are bringing us to major change points, not only in the world, of course, as we get hyper-focused with the South Node in Sag, but it's mainly, of course, also the other element of our own personal lives, which I think is where we need to focus more on our own environment, of course, with the North Node in Gemini, and this is a lunar eclipse happening in Gemini. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to remind everybody that throughout this weekend, and of course, till the end of Monday, I guess it's now coming into Cyber Monday. If you want to be part of highvibe.tv, it is 20% off all things from the school, highvibetvschool.com, also on highvibe.tv subscriptions and all the paid video sections, everything that is on the High Vibe network. So just type in the discount code HOLIDAY2020 and you can get access to 20% off any of the subscriptions from the monthly, the 3-month, or the 6-month, all the paid videos, and all of the schools that I'm doing. So I am actually live right now on YouTube. I'm live on the app. So right now I'm talking to people in chat on the app. I'm going to do a little pop out here with my chat on all of the YouTubers here. Let me do a little pop out chat. And I hope everybody's doing well. It's me. I don't have, Craig or anybody here helping me. It's just me, myself, and I. So on the app I always do a weekend report, and it was interesting because I was like, this is a weekend that really shifts things in a very powerful way. It's not just something that I felt like doing the night, like Friday night and just into the weekend. I really wanted to be in the energy and also, bring things up. And how I do on Deep Astrology is I like to, of course, bring us all into more of a three-dimensional understanding of what we're going through, a Helio perspective as well. Because, I think astrology is changing. I'm just going to say that. I think that the traditional astrology that we've seen for a long time is granted, and it will always be there, and that's what I practice. But I think it's important to start integrating as we are looking into an Aquarian new world. Aquarius rules different perspectives and different outlooks, and also understanding the scientific element of things. And of course, all the flat earthers out there will always get weird on me about stuff like this, but I even asked them to really wonder the same things that we see in Helio is many of the same ways that we see things if you understand it from a geo point of view. It's just about the different aspects of how you look at things in life. So let's take a look, right? If we look at this from the Helio point of view, I've done this for literally right now. I'm doing this November 28th at 1823. So what's interesting is here we have that lunar eclipse building. As you can see, that full moon is getting ready, but this one is going to be an eclipse as we move it forward here, coming into bang, that exact point there. That's 4:30 a.m. We're going to see that lunar eclipse start around 1:20 in the morning. Which if I move it, there you are. So that's an exact, full moon, of course, with the sun being on the other side of the earth, right? And what I think is interesting about this one in this time is Neptune's gone direct. So I want people to understand, though, when we start to look at things from this perspective, I actually have this thing as the whole entire grid. If I gridded the actual solar system that we live in, right? And I've always said it kind of looks like the Death Star. When you actually start to see the grid and the understanding and see how it is formulated. And what's interesting is, of course, if you look out and you see the galactic center and where it meets the ecliptic, of course, that's where Sagittarius is and crosses down to the ecliptic line. That it's interesting because the last eclipse cycle that we had at the beginning of the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, was on that galactic line. So that is something that we have carried into this whole entire 2020 to bring us to this eclipse cycle, which connects us to the Mayan 2012 year. Because it was the Mayan 2012 year and the eclipses that happened then in the spring, which would have been May 20th, and then I think there was the Venus retrograde, which was the last Venus eclipse itself. I covered this in my 2020 What's Next video, which is free on High Vibe now for people to watch, but I'm not putting it on YouTube because the information on that would definitely not be allowed on YouTube. But that was the last time that Venus had eclipsed the sun, like the cycle that happened in 2004 with Venus in Gemini in that eclipse point. And then, of course, we had a lunar eclipse in Sag. Now, if you think of the 2019 cycle, and if you even think of the 2020 cycle with eclipses, there was that Cancer solar eclipse with Comet Neowise, actually. That was right with it. That was 0 degrees of Cancer. Comet Neowise was 29 Gemini. So it's like, yes, we're in the nodes of Gemini and Sag since May 5th, but we have not seen a full eclipse cycle here of Gemini Sag until the beginning point of this weekend, or the end of this weekend, but the beginning point of this eclipse cycle that's going to be on Monday. And so with Saturn and Pluto Saturn and Jupiter that are going to meet, there's so many Saturn, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiters. It's like there's so much going on with just all this Capricorn stuff. But it's that Saturn and Jupiter that are meeting in Aquarius on December 21st, 2020. And the irony of course, the solstice, and also the solstice of 17, right? Which was December 21st, 2017. That's when Saturn and the Sun met in Capricorn. So what I'm going to do for you all here is let's just kind of have some fun. Or actually, you know what? Let's do it a different way here. I'm going to change things up for you all. Make things a little bit easier. All right. Oh, I'm going to have to adjust something here. All right, there we go. Thank you. All right. So let's go back to that 2012 time, because I feel like that's very important for us to pay attention to with where we're at with the eclipses and so forth. So we can move this to 2012, and I'm going to go to that May 20th. So that's 2020. Oh, why did it not change from 8 to 2012? There we go. So as you can see right here, this is the eclipse that started those north node, south node eclipses like that really are connected to 2012. Sure, you can go back in 2011, right? So if we go back 2011, because if you notice the nodes were flipped, and the south node here was in Gemini, the north node was in Sag at 5 degrees. If we go back a year and we look at that, we're at the nodes and pretty much where they're at now, but flipped in 2011 and the eclipse cycle that was then. Although it is interesting if you understand eclipses, right? So we can look at eclipses, and let's go back to that 2011 and 12, and I'm going to zoom in so you all can take a look at this with me. So let's roll out a little bit closer so you guys can see much better, using Astro Gold for this. All right. So if you see Capricorn, then Gemini and Sag, June 1st, partial solar, lunar total in Sag at 24 degrees, June 15th, right? So it's been since then. But this 2012 one's much more connected, I feel, because of the fact that we're having all this solstice energy, which brings it back to that element of things of how we are seeing, when you look out at the galactic understanding, right? Especially if you're using tropical, even in sidereal, right? The beginning of Capricorn into Sag is that galactic line. And we're going to have Jupiter and Saturn meet there from Earth's point of view, right? So it's like, remember, Earth, and well, Aquarius, right? But like the sun will be in that zone from what it looks like from Earth's point of view when we do this. Because if we just advance to, let's just advance this after this eclipse when we go to December 21st. See that from, see how it's on the line? Bang, where they intersect. Look at that, bam. And see that intersection point? Which you could see that line, it's pink, and it comes down. That's the galactic center point. And the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are meeting while the sun reaches this point, and the fact that 2017, we had the sun and Saturn meet here, which we could actually have some fun and do, if I bring you back to December 2017, 21st, what's going to be on the other side of that? Saturn, see that? Exact. On that galactic center line. See that? So this last 3 years is coming to its apex point right now. And I think that that's what's really interesting about these times, because as we're going to go into this eclipse and start looking at old past eclipse cycles, and you're going to, like, the way that I'm doing this is that this weekend is no just normal weekend. Like, this is activation extremely, because we are coming to the eclipse cycle that's setting us for this next 6 months, but that is also connected back to a time which we will never see again in our lives, of Venus that eclipsed the sun that we were able to see. And more importantly than that, we're at a time in which we do have the big planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, on their last end, right? Like, they're not going to be together in less than a month. December 21st comes already, and Jupiter and Saturn are already in Aquarius, and Pluto's by itself in Capricorn. So this is all coming to this major transformational point in our lives, and we can all feel it. We can all feel the climactic aspect. We can all feel that our lives are going to go through a major transformation and change, especially just Neptune that's come direct. So good example of that. And we'll get back to, well, we can kind of finish this eclipse thing, actually. So look at this, though. May 20th of 2012, 0 degrees. And then June 4th, we have the Sag 14-degree lunar eclipse. And then Venus had eclipsed the sun, I think it was June 8th, if I remember. Which, of course, this is not going to show you in any chart program that, because that's a scientific, astronomical anomaly. It's not one that you're going to see in astrology charts. That's why I think it's important to use the understandings of science and so forth. So if we bring this to a year, oh, wait, we're already going too far. We're not ready for that. Are you guys all ready for 2025 yet? I'm not. Okay, so let's move this days, and let's move this to, here's that June 4th lunar eclipse in Sag. Also, Jupiter at the end of a sign, an Earth sign like we're having right now. So I'll show you that here in a second. But see, here was that Venus sun, right? And then what happens? So I was close. It was June 5th, June 6th. So we had eclipse and a Venus eclipse at the same time, pretty much within a 24-hour period. Now, we have all been hanging fruit, waiting to ripe, and understand what the fuck, and I know I might sound crazy, but like, what the fuck has been going on since 2012 in your life? Especially around Venus stuff. Especially around your environment and you trying to figure things out, because this is finally setting us back into Gemini and out of Sag. Sag is done for the moment. Jupiter, Pluto met there December of 2007, which I have no problem like spending the time today and taking people backwards to really show you that I have not been crazy for all these years trying to take people at this understanding that this is the most crucial point in our lives. And I know I sound like a crazy man. I have no problem being the crazy guy on the street. If you guys want me to be the crazy guy, I'll be the crazy guy. I actually was that crazy person in Venice Beach talking about this stuff for a long time, homeless. So let's get to 2007, and then let's move this to, like, let's say November. Okay, so here's Jupiter Pluto. You can see it right there. I'll bring you in closer. Boom. Okay. We just finished Jupiter Pluto 3 times here in Capricorn in 2020. So that's done. But what I'm trying to show and showcase, and I'll bring it back to you for a second, is I'm trying to showcase events are happening in such massive cycles right now that are bringing us to this major apex point. And it's moving to a Gemini world from a Sag world. And unfortunately, the idea of Sagittarius is the world at large, the whole entire culture, the whole belief systems, and having us to get back to the environment within our lives to start to use our hermeticism in our brain that understands the dark and the light and understands the truth, which is the facts, but those are being twisted by all these Sag energies and by people's hopes and dreams of somehow that this world is going to be the way it used to be, or to get stuck in the same patterns of hopefulness that something will change without actually doing the change itself. And people kind of just sitting there and think that they already know when they don't, and then feeling hopeless because it doesn't happen the way they want it to. So if we move, Jupiter and Pluto only met once in Sagittarius, okay? And when they met at the very end at 28 degrees into 29. But that was right where it was. Jupiter had passed Pluto. Right there. December 10th into December 11th of 2007. And you have to remember that that was at a time in 2007 where the node, which was in Pisces at 0 degrees, still didn't have Neptune in Pisces. We had Uranus in Pisces. But the major element of understanding was, there was this mystical world, North Node, Pisces, Jupiter, Pluto, and sextile to the North Node and in trine to the South Node. That was like you exploring what your mystical life was for the last 13 years. And here we are. We're at the point to where it has to become real now. Everything that was up until this point was just like a mirage into what is that? It was great lessons. It was great spiritual lessons, if you really think about it. But it's all brought us to a different point. You have to remember, too, look at that. Mars was retrograde in Cancer. The worst place for Mars to be. And in retrograde in Cancer. How ironic that on this Jupiter-Pluto, we're in a Mars retrograde in its home sign. And that's over and direct. It is making hard aspects to all the Capricorn stuff. But quite interesting to think that we emotionally believed we would get exactly everything that we wanted. It doesn't matter if you did get things that you felt like you want. There was still something missing coming in here into 2020 that was not complete. Especially if you want to get kind of into wholeness as like the theme, I guess that you would say, if that makes sense. Like if you want to have that sense of wholeness. And I think that that's where, we're pretty much at now is understanding that how do we get to this wholeness place, right? Like how do we get to trying to find exactly what we're looking for? I've been calling this also a time of buried treasure with Jupiter-Pluto. And Jupiter-Pluto, when it was in 2007, like I'm showing you all here, which, I'll have to expand a little bit more just to show you. Right? Like, if we understand this chart better, it's like you had tons of doorways and tons of experiences that are bringing you to this climax of making the biggest choice in your life. The biggest choice in your life. And it's coming up so fast that you have to make it, or I don't want to say that you're going to miss the boat, But there's no irony that in Christian philosophy, there's that whole left behind. There's also in astrological understandings in the world right now, you'll miss destiny. Because we are ending this cycle in so many ways. If I bring us back to, going back to the understanding of the eclipses, hold on a second here. Okay. And we take this back to this eclipse table here. So that 2012 cycle with a Venus eclipse, now remember, the one that was in 2004, that will never happen again in our lives. It's a 120-year cycle, and we have to wait another 112 years until we're going to see Venus eclipse the sun again. So we had to wait, right? Because then Scorpio started to get mixed in there because the North Node had moved into that Scorpio territory with Saturn, and really weird times through 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16. No Gemini, no Sag stuff. And here we are in 2019, and we had the Leo Aquarius finish, we had Capricorn, and then 2019 was all about Capricorn Cancer, and then we saw a Sag one June 5th of 2020, but look at that, it was January 10th, 2020, we had that lunar eclipse at 20 degrees, 2 days before the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and then bang, a solar annual right on the exact opposition point to the galactic center from a geo point of view. But if you really think about it, the Earth was with the galactic center, and we were looking at the sun looking opposite, but we were not in Gemini yet. We had not seen a Gemini eclipse. We get to July 5th, we see a lunar eclipse that's in Capricorn again. Remember, there were 3 eclipses this summer. That's another rare part through decades. I think we saw it a couple times in the last 10 years, right? It wasn't like we saw every year with 3 eclipses, right? Especially lunar, solar, lunar in one just cycle of a 2-part cycle, right? Because it's 2 parts of a year of the cycle. But here it is, finally, November 30th of 2020 and December 14th of 2020, Gemini Sag, and they're flipped. So we finally get to figuring out what the Mayan calendar system shifted about, of what the end of this whole idea of the world was. It's here. Using eclipses, using the Mayan calendar system, and also at the same time using the understanding of Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, which all have met. So Saturn and Pluto have met. Saturn or Jupiter and Pluto have met 3 times. And now here comes Saturn and Jupiter on December 21st of 2020 with the sun at its galactic center point at the understanding of being at the solstice too. And this weekend is weird because Neptune has come direct. So let's go into that, and then I'll get back to this eclipse thing. Is if we get out of this and let's go to today, and actually I have the chart here for, this was me last night talking about gods and creator god drawings, if you guys want to see how crazy I am. Oh, this is the stuff I do when I'm bored, or if I'm just like, really like thinking about 5th dimension and architect tables and 4th dimension and the different pods and the different worlds. I've actually never really shown anybody this stuff. This is what I do in my private time with people that are close to me. Okay, let's move away from that. So that'll be if you're a High Vibe member and you want to ask me on full disclosure this week. I'll draw it out for you there. So here we are. Let me erase from Deep Astrology. Here we go. So this is the lunar eclipse, and this is happening Monday morning at 1:29 a.m. This is where that big choice now in your life begins. And it's going to change your whole environment and change your whole entire world. But before we get to that eclipse, what happened first? On the 28th, Neptune has come direct. So let me show you this. So Neptune today came direct at 4:36 p.m. which was just less than an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. Neptune came direct at 18 degrees of Pisces, while it was exactly square the north node at 19 and the south node here at 19, right? So we get this big square point to Neptune. And this is where you need to start to either follow the north or the south node in your life and the dreams that you want to have. This brings you back to the understanding of 2012 itself. And if you really think about it, with Neptune direct, this is a wake up to true dreams, or are you going to stay in, I guess, like dreams that are really not, are you going to stay in the same like cycle where you keep blocking yourself because you keep just going, I believe the path I continue to do will change? No, like change is really a mutable thing, right? And when you mix North Node and Gemini, and it's about mercurial things, it's about going, I have to trust what my third eye is saying. I have to trust what Horus is saying, especially since this is where we see the star system of the Pleiades, right? And we also are seeing the moon come into the space for a lunar eclipse. And so this is where there was a south node in the Great Awakening of 2012 that I showed you in those eclipse tables, and the understanding that we have not come to this same point since then. Okay? And now, this is where you have to believe more than ever in the things for those that have been on this path since 2012, that have seen the light, that have seen the change of the universe and the earth, that have been aware of it, that have been here to do the great light work. If you're really ready to do it, if you're ready to step forward and to make the craziest radical change of your life with the biggest decisions ever, because now Saturn's at 28, Jupiter, Pluto, all in very tight orb. Saturn's also at the end of its journey for the last 3 years. And in less than a month, right after this eclipse cycle ends, we see Saturn move into Aquarius. We see Jupiter move into Aquarius, and it's over. And it's like, that's the whole idea of like, did you miss the boat? And this is coming fast. This is not like, you know, Capricorn has to deal a lot with patience and so forth, but it's like, how much patience have you already had for 3 fucking years? You know what I mean? Like, you've already gained all of the insight, the responsibility, the learning of what is your true alignment in your path, what your true energy is. And with Neptune now direct, you have to follow wherever God and soul, and more importantly, the synchronicities have pointed you towards. There's no other information out there for you. If you're going to keep trying to find this information and keep researching, right? South Node and Sag. Oh, I want to keep seeing if there's another synchronicity out there for me. No, God has fucking spoken. Neptune direct square the nodes is God has spoken. This weekend, God's spoken. So it's like, if you really want to go search in that South Node Sag world, and you want to keep fucking on an expedition, and you want to keep go searching, and you want to get another plane to go find out and research, you want to go into another fucking library, you want to keep opening up every fucking book, I'm here to tell you, you're going up in many ways, and this might be a triggering thing to say, it's like you're going against God. You're going against what the synchronicities say. You're going against what the signs say. The whole idea of astrology is signs, right? We say signs. What sign are you? And the signs are all clear as day, especially when it comes to with Neptune direct now in Pisces. And this is also Neptune in the Geo. If I move you to the Geo, which means, or to the Helio, sorry, which is right here. Let me clear the page. There we go. This is, I'm running for the 30th. Oh gosh, that's the wrong one. Okay. The 30th, which is on Monday with the eclipse at 1:29 a.m. The Neptune, as we're talking right now, is hitting 20 degrees. The last decan, right? The third decan of Pisces. So as Neptune has come direct from Earth's point of view, and squared the nodes. From the sun's point of view, it has reached the last tier of being in Pisces. Remember, there's no retrogrades in Helio. So when God has spoken with signs and synchronicities, and it's whether or not you're going to ride this boat to God that, or spirit or source that has given you the info or not. And you're going to have to declutter all of your weird issues with cock-blocking soul. Cock-blocking a magical mission, a magical statement, a magical understanding, with trying to either A, say, no, I want to keep doing, I need more information. I need more information. One thing about the difference between Gemini and the difference between Sag is Gemini figures it out fast. It's a dog. That smells good. I'm going to go to that trash can. It's not going to go, let me keep sniffing other trash cans and see if there's more or better or something else out there. Sag goes, I want to keep exploring more. That's why, you know, typical Sag people, it's like they stay in Bali for an extra week, an extra month, and then they say they live there, but then they always come back, like, no, I mean, I got over that. Hold on, I think I live here now, or I'm going to go over there, or I'm going to keep searching this, or I'm going to keep reading more here, I'm going to keep going over here. It's like, that's great, but that world's over. That cycle ended 13 years of it, with Jupiter, Pluto, meeting in Capricorn for this year of 2020 in Capricorn, which is big decisions that have to go to the buried treasure with Neptune that was in nice sextiles to all this Capricorn for the last 3 years with Saturn and with Jupiter, where it's like, this is where you get it. We also have Neptune and Pluto that are coming into their sextile into 2021, 2022. And that's where it's like the payoff of trusting the signs is greater than you could ever realize over the next couple of years. Or feeling like you didn't get shit because you didn't follow it. So God's spoken this weekend, and then this lunar eclipse comes in to activate that. Hope that makes sense. So let's move to one more thing that I think is interesting about this eclipse cycle, or first of all, this Neptune direct. It's happening at a time where the moon is at 22 degrees. Now, I think that's interesting because the last Jupiter-Pluto met at 22 Cap. So that's a trine to that place. But let's just take one more historical, excerpt in time, however you want to put it. Right? So let's take a look at Jupiter conjunct Saturn. Previous. May 28th of 2000. And why is that important? The reason why, because the crazy astrologer within me loves a good connection. Because it was May 28th of 2000 when we were in Gemini with the sun exactly within a degree of where this lunar eclipse is going to be. And we have Jupiter, Saturn finally about to meet up here. Right? Like Jupiter and Saturn are about to meet up here, finally, on December 21st, 2020, in the middle after these, right after these eclipses happen. And the first of those eclipses is at 8 degrees of Gemini, and here's the sun on May 28th of 2000 when Jupiter Saturn met, and at what degree? 22 degrees of Taurus. Now, where's the moon through this Neptune direct? '22 Taurus. And then a lunar eclipse at 8. We are replaying the last 20 years cycle ending 2. And getting to... Well, I'm going to have to move this. I have this too close, sorry. Right? 22. And then if we look up and we see this Neptune squared the nodes, we see that Jupiter-Pluto met at 22 Cap. We see the moon here. This is signaling to us an exalted moon at 22, meaning at the last time that we're going to see as well an eclipse cycle in the 20-year cycle of Jupiter-Saturn since 2000. And the last Neptune direct. And it happens to be Neptune direct in its home sign, squaring the nodes of the last Jupiter-Saturn 20-year cycle. And that brings me to this lunar eclipse, which is on Monday at 1:29 a.m., which is exactly 8:32 within 1 degree of where Jupiter-Saturn met with the sun. There's a lot of sun-moon connections here, if that makes sense. And the moon's remembering the last 20 years. We're ending the last 20 years. We're ending the last 13 years of this understanding of this world that was like this magical journey of experience. Now we're moving into a world of making choices. You have the info. You make the big choice. You follow the signs. And this lunar eclipse, at the same time, right, at 8 degrees, has Mercury in sextile to Saturn and Jupiter, which are meeting now in Capricorn, right? So let me crop this out. There we go. So I'll highlight this so you can see from a highlighter point of view, right? So let's look at that Mercury to Saturn Jupiter, right? And we'll actually make this a little easier to see, but so Saturn here and Jupiter 26, 28, Mercury right there. Mercury's the ruler of Gemini. That's where the North Node is, so the dispositor of that. And we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini. First Gemini eclipse since 2012. With the nodes in now flipped, but North Node in Gemini. And we have Mars in its home sign of Aries. I don't think there's more of a time in our life now with Neptune direct and with all the planets direct except Uranus, right? The only retrograde planet that we have is Uranus, if you take it all the way from Pluto, right? So, like, everything is direct except Uranus, which is in Taurus, which is about to connect the greatest world of your life by the choices that you make from now until January when Uranus comes direct. And this lunar eclipse, it might seem crazy. The whole idea of a lunar eclipse in Gemini already is, am I crazy? Am I especially, it's like, am I crazy? Am I crazy to think? Am I crazy to believe? Am I crazy to change my world so fast? And my environment change? Because it's your personal life. It's a lunar eclipse in Gemini, right? It's about your personal environment changing. Changing of the mind, changing of the environment, changing of the beliefs. And it's in really good aspect here with Chiron in Aries, right? So it's like getting over your ego's insecurities and holding on to an ego that's not giving you what you want, right? Like, I gotta stall changing my life because my ego wants it this other way that I think that always delivers me shit. So you gotta face your fears. And what I think is interesting about this too is if we understand Pluto at 23 degrees, right? We have a sessi quadrant to the moon there. Okay? That's a very unique degree. It's 135. Quincunx is at 150, right? But this 135 degree aspect here is very important for us. It equals a 9, actually, 135. It's about the action choice we have about changing our emotional lives in a big decision that's going to bring us stimulation and excitement while healing everything that our ego has been holding on to that's not developing the way that we want to. And it's usually in stupid ways, since this solar eclipse that we are still under from the South Node was in Capricorn square Chiron. That was December 24th or 25th, depending on where you were in the world, of 2019. So you have to face this kind of weird place you've been in since the beginning of 2020 of, why do I my ego keeps blocking all the incitement of the world changes that I want to see in my own life? Not the world changing outside, Sag, that's going to change to make you feel happy. I'm sorry to tell you all, and I'm going to just keep saying it and be that asshole astrologer that's just trying to bring you truth, that if you really believe the outside world's going to change to make you happy, like I'm only happy if I'm able to get on a plane and go here, or I'm only happy if the world's going to change to be able to work the way that I have to work this way, or da-da-da. And if you think that, you know, Trump's going to win the election and save you, or you think that Biden's going to win the election and save you, you're crazy. Because it's about you and your life and the individual choices that you make of the change of the ego and the excitement and the very powerful positions. I mentioned very deeply on Deep Astrology this week that Venus is connected to this extremely, not only because we are at the eclipse time of an eclipse cycle with the nodes flipped now from when the last Venus eclipse was, and there is no Venus eclipse now, but Venus in Scorpio has just opposed Uranus and has just come through the zone of where Mercury retrograded and where Venus retrograded in 2018 in the middle of this Saturn 3-year cycle. And now, where is it during this eclipse? It's exactly at 10 degrees, the degree in which Venus retrograded in 2018 in October. And it's exactly within a couple, minutes, degree-wise, of where Mercury retrograded this year. So this is about a massive transformation about relationship energies too, and all the lessons you learned over the last 3 years. But this goes back to how I showed 2 weeks ago in Deep Astrology on how Venus has already passed the 0-degree spot of Scorpio, where Pluto entered in 1984 officially on August 27th into 28th of 1984. The Venus has passed the 0-degree spot of where Venus, or you could use Saturn entering into Scorpio on October, 6th of 2012. After this eclipses, you can use the solar eclipse at 0 degrees of Scorpio with Venus on 2014. You can use the Venus retrograde of 2018 at 0 degrees, oppose the nodes or square the nodes and oppose Uranus and Taurus. Like, that's how much stuff is all climaxing and coming to this massive element here in your life. And so somebody just asked in the YouTube chat, like, what's the purpose of life? You fucking getting over your fucking fears of the most amazing and most stimulating personal change in life that you create within yourself, and stop using the world as the best way of you thinking the way to go. So, I don't even know where somebody's trying to, like, whoever you are, because I'll call people out in my chat, like, Leo King is from Huntington Beach, the Florida of California. Mega Kinsel, you can't even say anything breeding grounds, just saying, we're not even talking about anything political. And you know what? You wish you were from Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is about surfing, California life, being chill, sunshine, and everybody having love. And everybody having a good time. So if you want to, like, sit there and talk shit in the chat when I'm not talking shit on anybody, right? I'll talk shit back to you since you talk shit back to me. But, like, let's be real here. You don't know shit. You don't even ever been to Huntington Beach, maybe. Or you just don't fit with Huntington Beach life, because we're about surfing. We're about love. I found astrology in Huntington Beach. So if you want to try and say Huntington Beach is some breeding ground of some crazy place, you know what? It was the breeding ground of astrology. It was the breeding ground of fun for me. It was the breeding ground of amazing people. It's the breeding ground of concerts and skateboarding on the beach. It's the breeding ground of people having a fun time in the ocean. It's the breeding ground of where it's the only place in California and anywhere on the West Coast that does jet ski racing on the beach in the ocean. It's the breeding ground of where my grandmother just passed away. It's the breeding ground of where my parents live. It's the breeding ground of where High Vibe TV brings positive and loving and spiritual information every day of the week, every month, every week, every year, every week, every moment. So if you want to try and just throw the most bullshit little fucking comment of your life that misses everything, have fun. Because you're just stuck in South Node Sag world at that point, because you don't have any of your facts straight at all. Zero. And you don't even have the courage to put up your name or a picture. If you make a comment in somebody's YouTube and you don't have a picture and your name is some weird name, you're a troll. And I feel sorry for you because you definitely don't live in Huntington Beach. You know where you live? You live under a bridge. So, and I don't even want to probably know what it looks like where you're fucking saying that comment from and what kind of computer you're on. You probably are fucking, who even knows if you're even in America. You probably live in Chaz. And that place went down real well. How's Chaz doing? Did you sleep on some shit in the street? You know what I mean? Wow. Hope Chaz is doing great. I heard they got a lot of troll bridges there. And you know what? I don't know where you could talk crap on Huntington Beach, because Huntington Beach has done nothing bad at all. We're not doing anything to anybody. We're focused on living a positive and healthy and fun life for people and being out on the sun and being out in the sunshine and bringing out love. And even when people wanted to protest here, we supported them. We just said, please don't burn down our places. And if you want to call that negativity, then I don't know what earth you're on. And if Huntington Beach was such a bad place, right? And so I guess whatever you want to like try and bring is like some sort of like negative conservative view or something, then why would they allow me to do spirituality here? Why would the city allow me to have a TV network that's called High Vibe TV? You know what's crazy? Los Angeles will not let me operate the way that I want to operate. But Huntington Beach does. So if you want to start getting all into like some real shit, I'll give you some of the real shit that Huntington Beach represents: the ability to be free to speak spiritually and to be able to live spiritually. And that's what this channel is about. And that's what I am as the Leo King is about living spiritually free. I don't think it's an irony that right now in the media that they don't want to talk about the Mayflower 400 years, anniversary, I guess you could call it, because that was about religious freedom. And then the Supreme Court just rules that churches in New York can fucking be free because it's in the Constitution, and people want to get crazy on that? Like, that's not because I'm coming from the right or the left. That's just coming from, I'm an American, and I know that there was a Constitution, that I'm a citizen of America, and it says in that Constitution the pursuit of life, liberty, and that pursuit of happiness, right? Like, if you're going to be anybody that goes against that and tries to stop that, then you're allowed to. Go right ahead. But there's a Constitution, and there's a lot of people that I know in the world, all around the world, that are all doing that. And if, you know what? Robert Phoenix just sent me a video from France, and everybody in France right now that is, there's a bill going in of you're not allowed to take a picture of a police officer, and they're all saying that that's just bullshit, because then the police can do whatever they want. And the police over there started fucking up citizens over there. There is people in the world fighting for just to have the freedom to not be tyrannized. And you're in here trying to fucking talk shit about a place that does nothing negative or nothing wrong. We should all be giving our love and all of our prayers for people in Europe right now that are dealing with horrible suppression, and that the American media does not show at all. And you know what? You're messing with me on the wrong day. The moon's in Taurus, and I'm having my lunar return. So, You know what I mean? Like, I know the value of who I am, and I know the value of the world, and I know the value of others, and I know their value. And when you bring out something that has zero value, I'm going to call it out straight up. Especially when there's how many people in here? You know what I mean? Like, there's 1,100 people watching right now. Like, you know what I mean? And on the app, there's another over 100. So, there's 1,200 people watching live right now, brother or woman. I don't know who you are, but you're from Chaz. You might not call yourself either one, so I don't know. Let's get back to some astrology. So, this lunar eclipse is a big deal. Mixed with the Neptune, but I had to show you the Jupiter-Pluto cycle that's done. We're done with Saturn-Pluto cycle. And that finishes when it moves out, when we move into Aquarius here in December, with Saturn moving into Aquarius and with Jupiter moving into Aquarius, and then they meet. So this eclipse cycle reaches us back to 2012, and it reaches us back to the last 8 years, and it's flipping our lives. Because whenever we flip, not only the nodes, but when we're doing it in Gemini and Sag, we are flipping the idea of what the world should be and having to come back to our individual world and having to come back to our environment and change our local place. And we have to look at, with this Venus cycle, about what we really desire in relationships and what we really want to change in our life. And God has spoken very loudly with Neptune direct. The trumpet horns have gone out of where all the synchronicities and signs are that almost seem mind-blowing, right? Because when Neptune comes direct, it's like, if you ever look at the Judgment card in Tarot, that's what it is. And so, here is the Judgment coming into this Lunar Eclipse Monday. And so this weekend, it's about you and where did the signs and where has the signs pointed you towards? Where have the signs and the trumpets pointed you towards a big choice in destiny that is going to seem crazy? But with Mercury, as I showed you here, in Scorpio, sextile Saturn, it's about having to commit to an act, having to commit to a plan, having to commit our minds, with Jupiter there, to an awesome positive door. It's Jupiter in Capricorn, though, so it's defined by a doorway that has a decision behind it, long term, and it has to deal with destiny, and knowing, like, how many options do you really have? There's not a lot of options, but God gave you the ultimate gift over this Mercury retrograde the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, over the last Venus retrograde 2 years ago from right now, and especially over the last 8 years. And then if you want to even go deeper, since 2010, when Jupiter and Saturn made their opposition, right? Like Jupiter was in Aries and, I'll clear this out. And I'll make a new page here. So if we take the zodiac wheel, and let's say this is Aries, and this is Pisces, and this is, Virgo, and this is Libra. So Saturn was going between both, and Jupiter and Uranus were going between both, and they opposed. And then Venus went retrograde in Scorpio, Libra, right? Or let's say Scorpio's here. And then Venus retrograded through there too then. So this last 10 years is all coming to its close. And then the last 20 years, since if this is Taurus, Jupiter and Saturn are coming to their close, and the moon's right at the degree on which the day that Neptune comes direct squares the nodes, and all of it. So what I'm trying to show you is that this is massive compression on compression on compression of cycles ending and new cycles beginning. And this is going to thwart and change your world, but it's all connected to Neptune, because I just showed you in the Helio earlier that it's at 20 degrees, and we've never been here. Unless you go back to the 1850s. But that this is the highest judgment call of your life. Now, an interesting way to put it, and I'll use Astro.com for this one, because I can throw deacons in Astro.com better than any other way, so what we'll do is we'll change this to log out. Here we go. Okay. So what we'll do here is, what is today? Or 29th. We'll do it for the 29th of November. And don't worry, you'll all see this in a second. And we're going to call this Neptune Deacon. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw this into extended chart selection. And I got it there. And we are going to do this for options, zodiac houses. We're going to do this for heliocentric. Default settings, display and calculation. Okay, so we're going to do traditional deacons, and I am somebody who likes to use Lily Ptolemean terms, so I like Lily. We can add the Egyptian terms if we want, but it won't let me let all of them, so we'll do that. But we're going to use traditional, and we're going to use Lily. We'll do aspects to Chiron, and let's do landscape. Okay. So we're doing heliocentric, right? This is what's going to show you why I think it's so important to pay attention to why is the trumpet calling now. You can also remember to use these deacons at the same time, however that you want. So here we are, Neptune. Tell Erica that I'm live. Hey, I'm live right now and you're calling, and it's okay. Thank you. Bye. So 20 degrees is right on the line between the traditional deacons of, you with me? The moon and Pluto. So there's been an emotional mental time of confusion with Neptune. That's also why at the same time I have continued to say the spell from the media with Neptune that's been in these deacons. If we use just Geo, it's not like these deacons change. But the fact that we're seeing right now Neptune come to the last deacon of Pluto and Mars. Okay? Gnarly. Spirit is clear as fuck to the bottom of the truth of the identity of what it is trying to say. It is confusing with Neptune on Mercury, which Mercury's at its fall position, right? When Pisces is involved. And the moon there, it's sensitive. So we're mentally unsure. And we had tall beliefs there. Let me take this. Let me save this. And bring this into here. So when Neptune was up here, and I'm thinking of it from a geo view too, right? Like Neptune just went direct at 18 degrees, right? So 18 is right here in geo. So it's still in that on Earth. Like you think you're emotionally like, okay, am I crazy? My personal life, these messages I'm getting from Spirit. But the universe has already set the course by this being a Helio chart with the sun at the center, and with Mercury coming into Scorpio, right before this eclipse, right after Neptune direct, in between, and Venus coming into Libra. Mercury just finished at the end of Libra, because Mercury moves, well, as we're talking, and as Neptune has come direct, Mercury was at the end of Libra. Mercury moves 4 degrees a day in Helio, okay? Because it takes 88 days to come around the sun. And the eclipse that's coming on the 30th at 1:29 a.m. is going to be at 8 degrees. And this is a Jupiter-Mercury decan. And this is also where Aldebaran is, right? And Antares is going to be where the sun is at in opposition here at 8 degrees. It's going to be Antares. And these decans, that's Jupiter, Venus. Okay, right on the line of Jupiter, Jupiter. These are very big times in our life for these eclipses to be hitting these degrees. And then in Helio terms, the understanding of the kind of balance and harmony and partnerships we want, the judgment call from Spirit to get specifically now Mars, Pluto, define and make it so. It also is why we see divisiveness so extreme. This is where the Civil War played out. 1856 through 1860 was when Neptune went through the last decan of Pisces. And Chiron is actually at 7 degrees in Helio. And here it is, Venus, Mars, where the Venus, Mars. That has to deal with what insecurities of your ego are blocking the ultimate understanding of connection to partnerships and relationships and values in yourself that you keep holding that goes opposite the direction that you want to be because you block it out from your ego. So this is not just some random event. Jupiter and Saturn have already met and they're already moving on. Let me take you to where we're at from that standpoint. So if I take you to today, actual time, and I break this down from Earth's point of view, look at Jupiter and Saturn are getting ready to come together. Now, this is from Earth's point of view, right? So look at it from Earth, because I don't have a way to write this, right? So I'm saying, don't look at the sun. Look at out here, where Jupiter is, look where Saturn is, right? And look where the Earth is, and see the line on how they're coming together. Because if I move it together, when we get to December 21st, right? Bang. Now look at it from Earth's view. Now that's exactly in alignment. See that? Okay. But right now, understanding how I just showed you Mercury in Libra. Mercury is right here with the sun. And go look out this way. Now, that's from a tropical understanding, but still, you're going to go see Spica, right? That's what creates Libra, that fixed star. And the balance beams of Virgo mixed into Libra. If you see, Libra is on the ecliptic. See, I wish I can go. So Libra, see, that's on the ecliptic of our solar system, of our sun. And then if you see Venus at the same time is just entering into that space too during this time from a tropical point of view. So this is definitely a major time. And if we go look up at Neptune, right? Neptune is now looking like it's going forward because Earth is now moving this way. So it looks like Neptune's moving forward. And we've just finished because when you're closest to a planet is when you're retrograde, because you're passing it, it looks like the planet goes backwards. And everything's leading to this eclipse cycle, because if I bring us back to the eclipse table, right? Here we are from November 30th to December 14th. That's a big deal. These are the eclipses, and in between these eclipses is the end of Jupiter-Saturn from the last cycle in Taurus. We're done with Jupiter-Pluto. Neptune's now direct, squaring the nodes the whole time, and it's a dimensional shift in your life about learning to stop being so confused and move forward. All the planets are direct except Uranus, because look at when the next eclipse is. It's going to be in Sag and Gemini. And this solar eclipse at 23 degrees of Sag is a big deal. I'll be covering that more as you keep following me as the weeks go on here. But this is us returning back. And there is one more thing that I do want to bring up here, and I'll load it here, which would be kin 3D. Yep. So I'm gonna have to disconnect this for a second. Select. Okay, perfect. So as we look at today from the Mayan dream spell calendar, what are we coming into as we approach in these eclipse cycles, right? A wave spell. Look at that. 12-14. These are powerful days with the green and a shift from the 260-day cycle into a new one on 12-14-2020, which, oh, you're not able to see it. Hold on one second. Boom. Let me take it this way. Yeah, we go. And I'll bring you in. Oh yeah, I'll bring you in this way. Here we go. So we are moving into a major kin shift. See that? So because the 14th, the 12th comes along, 12-12, 12-13, bang, and on that day of 12-14, the eclipse, right? Remember, we're in a blue lunar storm year that was started 26 July 2020 until July 25th of 2021. But we come into yellow cosmic sun, growth, influence, power, courage, beauty, enlightenment, help with the follow-through, completion, and balance. Honesty is their greatest asset. So if people want to get real with me, if I want to get real with you, we're going to find out who's really been the most honest person about the whole election thing. If it is real or if it is not. There's the judgment from the yellow cosmic sun that will do this on a very crazy and powerful eclipse in Sag, which is a higher truth, or not. It also will possess the cosmic tone of presence, which is possess the patience of a great tree, a great listener, able to see above the fray of dramas, transcending argument and offering calm, objective advice. And that day, the hard part in our life is going to be the white cosmic dog. This is our challenge, but our gift. Truth, clarity, unification. Doesn't feel like it's going to be easy to unify. Timelessness, order, and spirit, right? But where this is the analog seal, which is your like-minded power, your complement, something that comes naturally to you, is intuition, energy, vision, magic, healing, blue cosmic storm. Interesting that we're in a lunar cosmic storm year. We're in a storm year. There's a storm definitely coming, and our guide is the yellow cosmic seed, which again is more of that energy of honesty and power. But with the seed, it's active, dynamic, spiritual creator, potentiality, leader, performer, influence, a networker and connector, sows seeds of new ideas and inspiration to others, helps shed ideas about the past. If we move it one day to when we get to the 15th, which is another kin day, and the first kin day, it starts us off right here, which is going to be the red magnetic dragon. Initiation, beginnings, passions, flow, exploration, evolution, often spark new ideas, communities, and are flashy investigators and facilitators. This is going to be major shift points that are all happening in our lives wherever you look. And I can't make it up when I give you a three-dimensional version of that the eclipse cycle that's coming is that intense. And it is connected to the Mayans. And if we do move to the 21st and we look at the kin day of that day, blues, which is the year we're in, and the issue and the hard part is going to be the red resonant earth, often spark new ideas, communities, and are flashy investigators and facilitators. Earth, a collector of synchronized energies. You synergize, ground, and are a calm example to others. Earth keeper and unbiased counselor. Not going to be easy. So that's why I'm saying, like, we need to follow the signs everywhere that there is divine guidance in these eclipse cycles and this Neptune direct, and with this Jupiter-Saturn meeting, and with Mars also that's getting ready to square Pluto. And as Jupiter's about to come out of its shadow, because if I get us out of this for a second, hold on, and I bring us back to here, and I get us out of here for a second, and I take us to the clock, and I move us to start to see this Mars as we come through December, and we look at the next eclipse, which is on the 14th. Here's Mars at 20, here's Jupiter out, and here's Jupiter and Saturn conjunct at 29, but they're going to conjunct exactly at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So let me bring this so you can at least see. And Pluto at 23, Mars is getting ready for that. And then we move out of that eclipse cycle. The moon's going to touch for the last time all that in Capricorn. This is the last time we're going to see this much Capricorn in our lives. And so that big decision is in this next 2 weeks that is building up. The faster you make it, the easier, because this is like freak out mode. If you're with a sun at 25 degrees coming to the galactic center, Mercury, South Node met, Venus here, and we have Venus and Juno, which are coming together as well at 29, 28 of Scorpio. And that's one day before the eclipse. And then you start to see Mars start to square Pluto here, right here, as Jupiter and Saturn meet. Mars square Pluto. So our lives are about to change in the biggest way. We're going to see the moon in Aries too. This is a reset of a new identity, and it's with the Jupiter-Saturn of a new world. And if you want to see when Uranus comes direct, January 14th, as Mars and Saturn square. So that's why I'm saying all the dots will come together in your life by the choices you make now, or if you deny them and you want more info and you want to keep fucking not listening to God, not keep listening to the signs, you're going to fucking get cock-blocked and you're going to feel like you get nothing. Saturn in Aquarius, you're not going to connect to anything. Square Mars and Taurus, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's the slowest Mars, right? Mars is at detriment. And if I show you the essential sheets of that day, and we look at Mars, Mars is at -10. And I will zoom in for that for you. Just to tell you I'm not making bullshit up. I'm using astrology. Look at that. Pluto, or Mars, -10 by position. Saturn's at a +7. Mars has been in a powerful position because it's been in Aries. It's in a really negative position in Taurus. And squaring Saturn in its home sign at a +7 is detrimental on January 14th. So this is the shit that you got to really start to wake up to in your life now. Like, there's no more wasting time. So if I take Chiron, and it's coming direct the day after the eclipse. So, I don't know what to tell you all, but this weekend's more powerful than you think it is about whether or not you're going to start treading down the road that spirit and all signs pull you towards, or you're going to fucking freak out and back out and do the same thing that you've done for the last year on a lot of other things, but you knew because it wasn't that. But what if Neptune with direct being here is finally like, it is? And you got to actually do something about it. You just can't, I'm going to just keep sitting on it. You know, people think Capricorn's patience. There's been enough patience. The end of Capricorn is you got to make a choice. You got to be an adult and you got to take the integrity, and you get a reward with Capricorn. You either get the trophy or you get no trophy. You win or you lose. And, you know, you got to play the game. You got to step into the world. You can't be in the Cancer world and just like chill out and be like, I'm just going to chill and just hopefully keep processing emotionally more. Because what else is there to process? There's nothing left in the world to process on. It's all dying. It's all gone. There's not much left. And it's the denial of Neptune that's come direct of, oh no, it's still there. Really? I mean, I don't even have, I'll go there. I will go there for 1 second. I'll take you to another world just for a second. I'll take you to that other world here. And this is going to be the end of my presentation for this weekend. Okay? Let's just take you to the financial markets. Let's take you to the US dollar. Right? Oh, here we go. Here, I'll back this out. So, here we are. March 20th of 2020, 19. How weird is it that when the you-know-what went down, the lockdowns, the US dollar gains higher than we've seen ever. Since 2016, there was a moment there. If we go through history, look at the US dollar tanking. And the last time it was up high was in the same time that we had the nodes coming into Gemini and leaving Cancer and Capricorn up here, okay? Now let's bring us to where the US dollar is today. 91 cents, I think it's sitting at right now. Not good. This is the US dollar currency index, okay? And it just keeps dropping. And you're not seeing it go up during this lockdown. There's no stimulus. So all the businesses and the banking institutions and the airlines and all that stuff, if they were going to pass it, they already would have passed it. And I told you all on What's Next 2020 that it wasn't going to be passed in April, another one. And everybody laughed in my face when they kept following the media and telling me, oh, David, you're wrong. The media is saying they're going to make it. Pelosi's saying she's going to make it through. Da, da, da. No. I'm trying to give you an awareness from another point of worldly view here to get out of your Neptunian phase that you need to make big decisions in your life now that are going to get you to your lifeboat with Venus aspects, relationships, and the people, like the energy that you know you will have to be able to create the life that you want to do, because it's going down. Why do you think you saw the rise? Look at the Bitcoin price, right? Look at how Bitcoin has got up. Let's look at gold. Look at how gold, everybody went. Now look at gold is tanking. Gold is tanking. Let's look at Ethereum. On a massive rise. It just took a tank, but now it's recovering. Bitcoin just took a tank, now it's recovering. But how come we're not seeing it recover everywhere else? How come we're seeing the dollar actually still tank? How come we're still seeing gold still tank? How come we're seeing Japan, ironically, tank? If you do the US dollar and Japanese yen, right? But look at this. The British pound had to take some really hard hits, but it's on the way up. And this is why I'm saying the US bond, when you mix this with the US dollar, is doing better, because I believe, and I have said this, there's a massive connection to the UK Brexit in the US. Let's look at the euro. They're all finding their thing, and they're enjoying the lockdown. They want Europe locked down because their money's going to go higher. Let's see what happened if we go back to the lockdowns then. A massive upswing. Well, it looks like UK is going to keep doing that fucking lockdown thing. The European Union, they like it. They go up with the US dollar that way. So, I'm just trying to show you all, like, look at Apple. Apple's tanked. It was at a peak this summer. Look at Tesla. Look at Tesla's major rise, and look at it now. Ever since the whole announcement of Biden, right? because of electric cars and all that stuff. But what if that stuff doesn't happen? Look at U.S. oil, too. Remember this year? This is what crashed the market the worst. Went down to negative. So I'm just trying to like wake you guys up from Uranus Taurus perspective as the last sign that a planet that is retrograde. You need to pay attention to what's going on from your countries and which countries and how it works with the US dollar. Which big corporations right now are teetering and which corporations are thinking they're going up and in this Neptune phase. And how the markets are working and how the world is working and how you got to make some choices that are pretty serious in your life. And they're beautiful ones if you listen to God and the synchronicities and the signs just leading you to this all makes sense and it feels like it's a dream. Or if you're going to deny that dream, then you might as well look at your life as like this and the tank, how oil did. I love you all very much. I appreciate you very much. Of course, I'll see you all on Monday. I'll see you all with everything. And I just try to give you the real deal there. And I appreciate you all. I know it's crazy times, but it's not so crazy if you follow spirit, if you follow the universe, and you follow the signs. They're everywhere. You really think the markets are going to go up next year when they're already at 30,000 and there's no more injection into the Fed? Think about that. Somebody put they don't understand financial matters. It's like, well, maybe with Uranus and Taurus, that's the whole point, right? The people who didn't understand financial matters in Uranus and Taurus the last time in the 30s, we all saw how it went for them. And anybody right now trying to say that, you know, the markets are going to go wonderful and great with no more stimulus money and consumer spending at its low and jobless claims going higher, and this is about all the elites or people with money moving their money to be safe, pumping up the stock market, then moving the money over into Bitcoin or moving it into gold, and they were moving it into gold and then they didn't. And if you want to tell me to stop vaping, that's fine. At least I know my truth. That's the whole thing. Like, you know, like you can tell somebody to stop doing something, but if you don't know your truth in your life, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what the hell's going on in your life, what's more detrimental to your life? Having a life where you live the life and you're in your truth and you know everything and you're having an easy life, or having a life where you're protecting yourself from something that you're scared of, but then your life is going nowhere? Like, think about that one for 1 minute. You know? So, the card for this weekend, the Tower reversed. You know, you have to face the fact that you know that you've reached a peak in your life that's over to build a new tower and to build a new life to reach for, but you're afraid to kaboom your life to the new tower. The Page of Pentacles reversed. Here's the universe trying to deliver you a message of something beautiful. Are you going to listen to it? Are you going to build from that? The challenge card that we got is the Justice reversed. Here's I talk about judgment, but Justice reversed. It's like everything that's been out of balance in your life, you have to face now, and that you can balance your life out. Look at this, 5 of Pentacles. You got to stop playing a victim in your life and stop taking the short end of the stick when you can have the better end of the stick. And the spiritual advice is the Page of Cups reversed. The universe is like, maybe you just can't be giddy about a life that you're not happy about. You need to be giddy about a life that you need to change, that's going to be awesome, and that's going to bring you to a better place in your life and build the new tower and follow the signs with that. So It's okay. People are mean to me because I'm mean back to them when they're mean back to me. That's my own fucking doing. You know what I mean? But I also try to show as somebody in the spiritual community that you can be somebody that's spiritual and defend yourself and not accept people just, talking shit or whatever. And that spirituality doesn't mean you have to, say namaste all the time or look a certain way or live in a certain city like Huntington Beach, right? Jesus Christ. So, and there's some people who've unsubscribed from me because they're like, oh, dude, you're just seeming a little bit too extreme or whatever. It's like, look at the fucking planets. If you're connected to the planets, it's extreme. And that doesn't mean negative. It can mean positive. And, I'm just doing my job is North Node in Gemini. I'm a fucking crazy motherfucker that has a message. And I'm going to give it to you in the most crazy way. And I'm going to just have you look at things and fucking all over the place. And I'm going to connect dots that are all over the place. And it's not going to be like you're going to go find anywhere else. It's going to be like sitting on a rock and fucking telling you to just do Om 5 times a day. Like, that's not me. So, But I love you all, and I appreciate the thousands of people that are in here right now, and I appreciate all those that are on High Vibe. And I'm giving you little previews of what you miss on High Vibe, so you better join High Vibe because I've got this 20% sale up until Monday night. So, and we're on app, Roku, Apple TV, and the website highvibe.tv. So I love you all very much. Holiday 2020 is the discount code, and that goes for all the schools too, and everybody that's on the highvibetvschool.com. All right, everyone, I'm sending you my best, and I will see you all come Monday, especially if you're on the app, and there's no reason not to join. 7-day free trial and use the discount code if you want to see all your horoscopes Monday. And we'll see you for Deep Love Tarot on that Monday night as well. Love you all very much, and I will see you all later.